Hey everyone, Sleepy Reader here, just back from the comic book store. Got a ton of comic books. Before I talk about those or show those and talk about them a little bit, I wanted to also mention, because I did some comic book thoughts videos this past week, but two of my favorite comics that I read this week I didn't get to talk about yet, because I didn't get to them, I guess, till after I did the videos or didn't finish them. One that I've really just been having this incredibly great time reading, this collection of Underworld comics by Kaz, which was sent to me by the great Rez Reads. She sent me a bunch of comics, and I think I've forgotten in the rush of events of the past week, because she sent them to me about a week ago or a little more, I've forgotten to do a video about them. But anyway, she sent me Kaz, which, years ago I used to read in one of Portland's weekly free newspapers, but I hadn't read it in ages, and reading them sort of one after another really showed me how brilliant they were and how, what's the right word, not sacrilegious, but how in-your-face bad boy stuff they are. So I'll always think of Rez when I read these and enjoy these a ton. And the other one that I was sort of my favorite regular size comic book of the week really was Kaiju Max. And I think this is one of my favorite comics of the month, I think, or will be one of my favorites when the month is over. But I was tweeting out lots of panels from it on Twitter as I was reading it yesterday at a cafe. I think you can just drop in on Kaiju Max when you want. Each issue has its own kind of weight and impact, and although there are characters that continue and somewhat of a storyline that continues, really each issue has its own kind of emotional, for lack of a better word, it's a very intense emotional experience reading this cartoony book about kaiju on the run, police activities, kaiju police activities, prison life, all of those things. This is mostly about convicts on the run, going underwater, visiting the kind of Cthulhu-like underwater kingdom. So yeah, very intense, very good. On weeks I get Kaiju Max, and sometimes I even put it off for more than a week, I save it for sometime when I feel like I can really take it, because it really is one of my denser, more, I don't know, it weighs more heavily on my brain when I read it, so my brain has to be in shape for it when I read. While I'm at it, Rez also sent me this issue of Hup, which is I think it's all R. Crumb. Some pretty classic Mr. Natural type of stuff. Anyway, awesome R. Crumb art all over the place in here. Really glad to have it. I don't think I ever had this particular issue. I had a bunch of Undergrounds that I bought like in 1981 at a head shop, but I don't know where those went. They're long gone. And she also sent me an issue of Too Much Coffee Man. I had no idea they did it, Too Much Coffee Man at Boom. I used to read Too Much Coffee Man in his own free newspaper here in Portland, actually. I think at least for a while Shannon Wheeler lived here in Portland, although I want to say he lives in Austin or in Texas or something. And I don't know, did Dark Horse used to publish Too Much Coffee Man? I feel like I read quite a bit of Too Much Coffee Man in the 90s, but haven't really looked at it since. And then she sent me these, I think they're called Ashcan comics. And I don't know if they'll these are samples of things that will be blown up into full-size comics, or if they're just being sold this way. From Fubar Press, which I've never heard of. It says Legacy Reprint, so I don't know what that means. But this one's called Mother Russia, and this one's called Kilroy Zombie Smasher. They both look like a lot of fun, kind of in the underground kind of feel that I expect from Rez. So a big thank you to Rez for that stuff. And now, my giant bag for my comic book store. I did not have the time to stop and figure out if they had slipped me alternate covers and such, so I may well have a bunch of those in here. I had what came in the bag, And then I picked out 2 more comics off the shelf. I picked out 7 to Eternity off the shelf. I think I'm going to want to trade weight on this, but I also just wanted to read the first issue. And maybe the first issue will make me decide not to trade weight on it, or strengthen my feeling that I should trade weight on it. Epic fantasy by Rick Remender. I'm not sure if that's in his wheelhouse or not. We'll see. And last week I missed Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. I'm not actually ready to drop this from my endless number of Rebirth comics, although I have picked 2 at least to drop so far. So let's see what else we got here. Lots of Rebirth, of course. We got Batman. This looks like a Yannick Paquette cover, but I guess the art is by Riley Rossimo, which is a very intriguing concept. So I'm kind of looking forward to reading that, even though Batman under Tom King has been kind of lower on my list of must-read Rebirth comics. This one is probably be mostly for the art, at least, although Rebirth keeps surprising me, so you don't know. The track record of Francis Manapul's writing has been so-so, although I liked a lot of his work on The Flash. He did not do well on Detective Comics, in my opinion, for the parts that I read. So we'll see how he does on Trinity, but the artwork should be a treat. And I don't think it'll be bad, but maybe it'll surprise me and be really good. Let's see, I'll keep going with the Rebirth comics. First, there's Justice League. Looking forward to this. More total popcorn comic book reading. You know, Justice League has been, and I hope continues to be, just crazy fun superhero stuff. Nothing else. Aquaman is something else, something a little deeper, or has been, so I really look forward to this issue of Aquaman, one of the Rebirth surprises. Green Arrow, wow, that's an interesting cover. I'm gonna have to look at that for a while. It looks a bit too Photoshoppy to me at first, but we'll see. Last issue was good, but with art I didn't like. I think it'll be the same artist, which the last issue got me briefly excited when I thought, whoa, they brought in John Byrne for a fill-in issue, but it's not John Byrne, it's someone else Byrne. I can't remember his first name, Pete Byrne or something like that. And then, not labeled Rebirth. That's kind of a shocker. Raven by Marv Wolfman. And it looks like it was drawn by Borges, so I'm sure that's the famous dead Argentinian writer, Borges. Oh, the art looks pretty good. So I'm kind of excited to see what Marv Wolfman can do with a character he created once upon a time, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, comic book shop far, far away. Green Lanterns out again. It feels like I just read this last week. It must have been the week before that I just read it. So I think this is the second arc. We'll see is it still Sam Humphries? If Sam Humphries, I mean, there was good and bad with the Green Lanterns, but they're kind of lower on my list. High on my list, Superman, kind of a daring cover with no actual Superman on the cover. That's a very cool cover. Like that a lot. And more Rebirth. We got Nightwing, beginning of Night of the Monster Men Part 2. Oh, I guess the Batman must be Part 1. Riley Rossimo as someone doing the big crossover event. That's funny. Yeah, here it is. Night. It says on this Batman, Night of the Monster Men also. So, yeah. I just have so much experience with not liking crossover events. But I hope to be pleasantly surprised, and it is a very limited one. And then to the few non DC books, I got Dark Horse Presents. This cover looks very interesting. The Black Sinister by Kari Andrews, Troy Nixie, and Dave McCaig. Dave McCaig's a very good colorist. I haven't heard of Troy Nixie. So anyway, that looks cool. And there'll be a ton of stories, of course, a variety of stories in here. Looks like there might be a Tarzan in there or something. Not that that's Tarzan. Yeah, so it's always I enjoy getting Dark Horse Presents a lot. Although I wish there was more one and done stories in there. Black Hammer, really looking forward to this. kind of a low-key superhero deconstruction kind of story that I've been enjoying quite a bit. Speaking of superhero deconstruction, The Vision, the penultimate issue of the Vision miniseries. Can't wait to see how Tom King brings it on home, and whether he lands it perfectly or not. This has been one of the great reads of the year. I'm very curious about this miniseries from Valiant called Britannia, which doesn't feature, as far as I know, an established Valiant character, but maybe it's a more obscure one. It's got art by one of my more favorite but kind of disturbing art. Ooh, there's a lot of disturbing art in here. Juan Jose Ripe. Some people don't like Ripe at all, and he did kind of come out of that Avatar side of things, but to me he transcends that. And then She-Wolf, which I'm looking forward to a lot, which will be some surreal craziness combined with horror and sex. So gotta love that. And then finally, at last, my shop got in Comic Book Fever by George Corey. I will try to read a bunch of this and talk about it, maybe in one of my vlogs or something, because it's all about nostalgia for the Bronze Age, basically. I think it's 76 through 86, so kind of an era that, you know, touches deeply on my nostalgic side of comic book reading. There's a chapter on Nexus, so that's awesome right there. So I'm really excited to get this finally. My shop, it was supposed to come out like a month ago, I think, and my shop had trouble ordering it, maybe even more than a month ago, August? I don't know. My shop had a lot of trouble ordering it, and it's finally come in. Oh, it looks like there's a Conan chapter too. So yeah, this is totally going to be everything that I love about that era of comics. So thanks for watching, and I may or may not find time for more videos this week. I seem to be doing a lot lately, so maybe I'm on a roll. Talk to everyone later.